What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 1 of Puck Drop here on Fantasy Focus, brought to you by the Original Hooters in partnership with Monkey Knife Fight. Ryan Levy here with our newest intern, Tyler. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Doing good, man. Doing good.
I'm excited. I actually grew up somewhat of a hockey fan. That's a little known fact about me. I grew up before getting into Tampa Bay sports. Growing up in Florida, I was a New York Rangers fan.
Mm.
So
I
back in the day with Messier and Brian Leach and
Yeah, the
Adam Graves,
'94
all those
squad.
guys.
Yeah. I've got a lot of. So it's funny. Like I'm a Ducks diehard. Like first off, but a lot of my friends live East Coast, so I'm pretty partial to like the Flyers. They're probably my second favorite team, and then the Rangers would probably be a third, and then the Dallas Stars are my fourth. So there's like my top four there, and I've got to get the home state team in there somehow.
Okay, I love it, man. So you live in Texas, but how did you become a Ducks fan?
So it's the typical story of the
Ducks fly
Mighty
together.
Ducks. Yeah, exactly, dude. Flying V all the way. No, you grow up with those movies, and I love the movies, and it got me into the sport. And I learned to read at a really early age, and so when they became a real team, my pops was like, "Hey, like being a good old dad, like they're a real team, yeah." And like I was like, "All right, cool, that's my team." Like in my like little 3-year-old, 4-year-old head.
Right.
And, so I just kinda stuck with it, and then when I learned to read at an early age, like I was saying, like, I would just take the paper, find the NHL standings, and then go find where the Ducks were, and that's just kinda how I followed it until I was old enough to use the internet, and then, started following, week by week on how they were doing and reading articles and stuff like that, so
That's awesome, man. I love it. That was one of my favorite movies growing up too. Like, that age or we're about that age where movies like that and Sandlot and all that were good classic flicks when we were
Oh,
growing up.
yeah. Dude, Sandlot's another good one. Yeah, I love that one.
Right. So we're here on Saturday, August 15th. The NHL playoffs are underway. There was Now, from what I understand, I only watch Tampa Bay Lightning hockey to be
Right.
clear. So I'm not privy to everything else that's going on. I'm just playing host here. I'm just helping you get your feet wet
Yeah,
uh,
for sure.
for DFS and all that, because I love playing DFS. So I've been playing your picks. I've been playing Victor's picks. We got Victor joining us in the chat there, and Jake Rudolph. What's up, guys?
Yo, what's up,
So
Jake?
there was like a round robin before the playoffs, correct? To get into the
Yeah,
playoffs and
so
proceeding.
Yeah, so kinda how it worked was, like, the top 3 teams, top 4 teams in the division were, playing for seeding, so they played a round robin, and then the kind of, borderline teams were playing, they played a 5-game series with another team to see who got in as, like, the 8 seeds and the lower end seeds, so I believe it was Vegas and, Chicago and Edmonton, just because that was off the top of my head. They matched up, and the Knights won that one. Or
Right.
I keep saying the Knights, the Hawks won that one over Edmonton because Edmonton just can't perform in the playoffs no matter how many people they put around Connor McDavid. Um, and then you had, the Leafs, pulling a typical Leafs and, losing in game 5, and Columbus, ended up getting into the East seed, so, it was pretty fun to watch so that kinda makes it weird with the top 3 seedings because it's
Right.
not necessarily the better teams that have the higher seedings in those cases, but they just they finished higher in that little round robin, so some of the matchups are kinda skewed, if you will, but it's still making for fun hockey this year.
Yeah, I mean, as a Lightning fan myself, I was nervous to see the draw of Columbus in round 1. I believe it was last year. Columbus knocked out
Yep.
Tampa Bay, right?
Yep, and I have a theory on that. I mean, I have so in my bracket that I filled out, I have the Jackets in 7 over the Bolts, and it's for one reason and one reason only, and it's John Tortorella. Because that squad he's got with Columbus, like those boys will go to war for that man. And I mean, he's had success in Tampa Bay. I mean, he won
Right.
y'all's first cup, and then he went on and had some success with the Rangers. Kind of had a stint with Vancouver that didn't turn out as well. But this Jacket squad is definitely like those other teams he had, and they will go to war for this man. And they did in game 1, going
Right.
7 extra periods of hockey, like insane. You know,
Yeah, I
they
mean that naturally that makes me nervous, and then the Lightning come out in game 2 and flat out lose. So to play such a long game in game 1, I feel like they might be a little bit worn out. So hopefully they can get their shit together tonight. You know, one thing I don't like to see, this happens in basketball too. I mean, there's teams in the playoffs that are sub 500. You just hate to see that. Like,
yeah. Oh
Tampa
yeah,
Bay,
absolutely.
you know, one of the best teams in hockey all year. And, you know, you're playing a team that's sub 500 that could knock you out in the first round. That would be
Yeah.
awful.
Absolutely. I mean, to me though, that's what kind of makes it fun, right? Like you always want those, like, I mean, especially when March Madness is going on, you want those dark horse teams that like no one, this scrub, school that probably shouldn't even be playing this division. They're not going to beat this team, and then they oust them and go on for 4 more rounds. It's fun when you get those teams, and I think Columbus is going to be one of those teams. And I still, Jake's saying they're gonna take it, but I think it's going to be Jackets in 7 over the Bolts there.
Ooh, man, I hope not. We'll see. A lot will happen tonight. We got about what, 2 hours until puck
Till
drop.
puck drop, yeah. What it'll come down to, excuse me, is how the fatigue from that overtime game is going to set in. Because I mean, it's
Sure.
going to play into the series. It's just going to depend on if Columbus can withstand the firepower that Tampa Bay is going to throw at them. Because I mean, like you said, they're one of the better teams in the league. They have some of the biggest firepower on that top line with Kucherov and Point, and Stamkos when he's healthy, Hedman on that blue line. Like they're stacked. That team is just
Right.
built to win for a while. And if they can withstand these next couple of games, like game 2 is huge. Tampa Bay needed to win that game, and they dropped it. And the resiliency of the Jackets, I give it to them. I mean, they did the same thing when they lost to the Leafs before that game 5. I mean, they were like, we'll come back. We'll be fine. We'll win this game. Like it's not a big deal. And they did the same thing after losing that giant overtime, because if they would have dropped that game, probably would have been, an easy rest of the series for Tampa Bay. But now they're in a deadlock.
Yeah, no doubt. Jake said fatigue's a good call there. And if I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. What is this?
That's Corpusalo. You can call him Corpy for short, because I will say I like to butcher names quite a bit. So I just like to give nicknames to guys. If they've got an E at the end of the name, they're definitely going to be E. So he is Corpy to me.
Corpy, I like that. That's I am the king of butchering names, as you know.
But it's bad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty rough at it. Like there's like I gotta hear it like 40 times before I can know how to say it.
Especially in hockey, man. You got all these like Eastern European names and Canadian names. It's tough.
Oh yeah.
Goaltending is the great equalizer, as we were seeing in Colorado versus Arizona right now.
Yes,
for sure. So we got Lightning coming up here in about 2 hours. That's game 3. Earlier today, we had Bruins taking down the Hurricanes. So Boston leads that series 2-1.
Yep.
What do we got? 5-game series here, right? In the first round?
No, so now it's going to be, these are 7-game series. So
Okay.
they're rolling normal playoff rules. Interesting thing about that Boston series, I don't know if you saw it while you're on the links. But Boston's number 1 tendy, Tuukka Rask, opted out. So all the players have the option once they enter the bubble, they have the option to opt out. And if they want to go home for whatever reason, they can. They just can't come back. So we've had a few players leave for health issues. One left for birth of a child. But Tuukka is the first player to be like, I think I'm good. Like I'm just gonna sit this out. I don't like, he's the first one to be like, I just don't think this is safe, really. And he's going back home to his family, which, I mean, good on him. I mean, in this time in the world that it is, like,
right.
Good on him. You want to be with your family in this time. So good on Tuukka. And if anyone like has anything negative to say against Tuukka opting out like that, like not a good person.
Yeah. Was that opt out after the playoffs already started?
Yeah. So he played. I mean, he's been playing. He's played the round robins. He played in the series already, and he just basically today was like, yeah, like I'm done. Like I don't know. We kind of don't know what the real reason is. But he made a statement, and he just basically said he wanted to be with his family. So he opted out, and he's heading home. And now Boston's going to be rolling with their number 2 tendy.
It's crazy, man. I feel like, and again, I don't pay as much attention to hockey as I do as some of the other sports, but I feel like you're not hearing much about coronavirus in hockey. Like they're not getting riddled with cases of corona.
Well, I mean, they did it smart. When this all kind of started going down, the NHL immediately was like, "Don't even try it. We're not gonna play a lot of games now." Because I think the worry was, I forget the team. I think it was Winnipeg. They were on a California trip. It was one of the Canadian teams. They were on a California trip and they played Anaheim, my team. And then right after that, one of their players tested positive. And then
Mhm.
that's when the NHL was like, "Yo, we're done. We're done with the
Right.
games. We're not getting anyone sick." And everyone was like issued to go home, and they told them, "Stay home. Do not risk it at all. You're contractually obligated to be healthy. Do not do any." Yes, yes, agreed. Eric, hockey players are the best. They are the dominant species in sports, and will forever and always be the top of the food chain in sports.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so the NHL did it right and shut it down quick, and they stayed home, and then they tested. I think they tested like over like 7,000. I mean, it was insane the amount of tests they did. And they've still since they've entered the bubble, because there's two bubbles. There's one in Edmonton, there's one in Toronto. And since they've entered the bubbles, like they've had no positive cases. They've done it right. I'm looking at you, NFL. Please get this right.
Yeah.
Um, and they've done it the right way. So good on the NHL and that whole the players to be safe and take care of business when they were told to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, NBA's done a good job of it as well.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I
Them
mean,
too.
unless just in the NHL, they're just they've all tested positive and it's a big secret and they're just a bunch of tough guys. So
Yeah.
they're just
The
fighting
the
through it.
entire NHL has coronavirus, but like they're all fine, like just superhuman.
I mean, I'm definitely nervous about the NFL though. We'll see what happens. It's just there's so
Yeah.
many players on every team.
Oh yeah.
It could get ugly quick, but
Yeah.
I personally believe it's going to happen. They're going to figure out a way to do it. So, all right, let's get into some DFS picks here
Yeah.
for tonight. So if you're watching this here on Saturday afternoon, we got a couple hours till the Bolts Blue Jackets drop puck here. Is that what you say?
Yeah. Puck drop. That is
Puck
that is the
drop.
correct terminology. I'm proud of you, Levy. You're learning.
I love it, man. Yeah, I mean, I started like this on NASCAR too, and this is how I got into it. I got into it with DFS, and and the rest is history. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna share my
you might need
screen.
to do me with that with the NASCAR talk because
Oh,
I just know they take left turns a lot and drive in circles and
I
it's
know,
pretty
right?
entertaining.
This weekend it should be crazy in NASCAR. We got a road course at Daytona, so I actually have a fantasy league where we are determining our draft order per the NASCAR race. We each are assigned a top 12 driver. Whatever place they finish the race in is our draft order that starts
That's
next week.
intense.
So yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm excited for that. Something different.
Yeah, my hometown league, we just drew last night for our league that I'm the two-time reigning champ. There's my trophy back there. It's our lamp.
There
It's
you go.
the Lord Bofus Cup, as I call it.
I love it,
But
man.
yeah, we drew with a 12-sided die from like D&D, and it was not working. So we were like, can we go back to the dominoes? Let's do dominoes. So next year I'll put in for NASCAR, and we'll draft with NASCAR.
Perfect. I love it, man. All right. So if you've never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, it is the fastest growing DFS site in the world. We're excited to be partnered up with them. We've been doing quite well across all sports. This is my first time getting into hockey, so I'm going to go through the scoring. Tyler here is the NHL expert. So in terms of fantasy points, just to highlight how they are determined, a goal is 3 points, an assist is 2 points. A shot on goal is 1 point. A blocked shot is plus 1 point. A shootout goal is 1 point. That should be 2, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Goalies against a goal against minus 1 point. A save is plus 0.2. So you're not even getting a quarter of a point for a save. So that's interesting. But what do you like so far? We're gonna start with the Lightning game. We've got more or less or rapid fire. What do you liking so far in
So
hockey?
I like the more or less. I enjoy the over under ones pretty regularly. The rapid fire ones, it depends on the slate, so it depends on who's playing in that one. But I prefer the more or less definitely. Those are a little bit easier to kind of predict the outcomes with.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so if you guys have never played on Monkey Knife Fight before and you want to deposit, when you deposit for the first time, make sure you use the code FOCUSED and you will get 100% match deposit bonus. So deposit $50, get 50, so you'll be playing with 100. So what do you got your eye on here? I know you already did your homework beforehand. Are you on this Kucherov Jones play or no?
Yeah, so Jonesy on that blue line for Columbus is pretty solid. He's good in front of the net, and he's on that power play. So that's like one of the things I like to look for when I'm looking at defensemen is how successful that power play is. And so a guy like Seth Jones, he's not necessarily on one of the more successful power plays right now in the playoffs, but Jones is doing well enough as just a plain defenseman, playing well in front of the net. So he's going to get his on his blocks. And he's got speed, he's got some wheels, so he can jump in on some rushes. So he gets his shots on net too. So in this situation, I would like the more on Seth Jones there. And Kucherov playing on this top line, like I alluded to earlier, this top line that Tampa Bay has is just insane. Corby's solid in net, but I mean he's going to let a few trickle, and it's likely going to come from that top line with that firepower they have. So I would take the more on both of these guys in that situation.
Love it. Life's too short to bet the under, Tyler.
Exactly,
So,
1000%.
I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, half of an assist. You just need one. All it takes is one, man.
Yeah, and I mean
We'll talk about Kucherov here.
last night, me and Victor were talking about the Calgary game, and he sold me on Johnny Gaudreau getting an apple. And I went back and forth with it, and I was like, I don't know if Johnny's going to do that because Johnny's a goal scorer, and he sold me on it, and it ended up not coming to. So that's one of the things you kind of have to look out for sometimes is if a player is, you know, the goal, the trigger on the goal, or if he's, the bullet. So
Right.
with Kuch, he plays on a line that they can score from all range. So I can see Kucherov getting that assist pretty easy, especially with how they move the puck on the power play. But like in other cases, like Calgary, with Johnny Gaudreau is usually the guy getting the goal. They'll get him in some space. So for him to get an apple is kind of a little bit harder to come by. There's a few players in a few games, which we'll touch on for the Sunday games, that I'm kind of like that, where they're on a good line, but they're not really the type of player to get a certain stat that we can get into.
I gotcha. Now you're getting a sneak peek at all my NASCAR plays in here.
Oh, hold on. Let me screenshot that. Click. All right, we're good.
All right. What else do you like here in the Lightning game? What do you got your eye on?
So I mean, everyone loves the lottery ticket, right, Levy? Like everyone likes to play for big money. So let's scroll over to the more or less 15 times your buy-in.
Wow.
And let's just take a look at this whole shebang that we've got for the more or less on fantasy points.
This is my kind of play right here. I'm tailing this regardless.
Oh yeah, and I do it too. Like, and I do it without, self-care. Like I will lose so much money and then I'll just be like, well, there's always tomorrow. Here's more money, Monkey Knife Fight. Like it's insane how much I play these. Like I was alluding to earlier, Kucherov playing on that line and that power play, he can shoot the puck. Like I don't know what it is about Russians when they come to the NHL, but they know how to shoot puck. They know how to score goal.
Right.
Like he's gonna pummel the net with shots. So seven shots on goal, that's kind of difficult to get to. But you got to think about one of those gets in, that's 3 points. He really only needs 4 shots to hit value if one of those squeaks through. So I'm going to smash the more there on Kucherov. Seth Jones, again, we talked about him earlier on that first one. Definitely going to lean the over on him. He just needs 6. So if he gets an apple and a couple shots, he'll be good to go. Hedman is another one. He's the quarterback really on that second unit for Tampa Bay on the power
Yep.
play. He used to have that top spot, but Segovich has been ridiculous for them on that power play at moving the puck. So with Hedman, I'm gonna kind of lean he won't get there.
Okay.
But I know on DraftKings he's one of the top defensemen to get there. But since he's not on that top power play unit with the names like Point and Cooch, I think it's going to be a little bit harder for him to come by to get one of those points. Because with these defensemen, you have to think about they need the points to hit that value.
Sure.
They're not going to get there alone with just shot blocks and shots like some of these forwards can. So that's kind of my rule of thumb is they need some sort of point, and they need to get their fill of the shots and blocks. So if Hedman's not playing with that top unit, I don't think he's going to get there because I think the stats are actually going to be harder for him to come by the goals or the assist. But so I'm going to take the less on Mr. Hedman here.
All right. I like it, man. I mean, we can't go more on every single one of them.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, you can, but then you're just a donkey, and if you're a donkey, your name is Tyler, and you play DFS too much. So.
Right. Well, I quickly learned in NASCAR, man. You know, they set the point totals in NASCAR, for example. You get only a tenth of a point for every lap you lead.
Yeah.
And half these guys are set with like 17 or 18 point totals every single week, and we kept going more and more and more. And then the more you go less, I know that's a tongue twister there.
Yeah.
The better your odds seem to be. So
yeah, and that's one thing too. It doesn't matter what fantasy site you're playing, whether it be DraftKings, whether it be FanDuel. I know my boy Jake here in the comments crushes it on Yahoo. That's why I want to get him on here to talk with me about this stuff because he knows it a little bit more than I do. But he crushes it on Yahoo. But you have to learn your scoring. Like you have to know your scoring. You have to know it like the back of your hand because you have to find the niches and you have to find the easy floor points, if you will. So.
Yeah, I have actually never played on Yahoo. That's interesting, but I dig it, man. I mean, that's fantasy 101, especially in the DFS space. You need to know what your scoring is. I mean, FanDuel and DraftKings are different in their own right.
Yeah, I mean I live in Texas, so I can't play on FanDuel. But I'm an avid DraftKings donator every week, especially during the NFL, and their scoring is completely different. So like when you look at pricing on some of the sites that I look towards for advice and stuff like that, the pricing will be a little different from FanDuel and DraftKings just because they keep track of those points differently. So builds on some sites don't work for every site, if that makes sense.
Right. Wait, you just mentioned something that I found interesting while we're talking DFS in general. You live in Texas, you can play DraftKings, but you cannot play FanDuel.
Correct.
Why?
I don't know the logistics of it. I just know that FanDuel is outlawed in Texas, but DraftKings is hunky dory. Same thing with like I can't do any kind of like major prop bettings. So like I would have to do like an offshore bookie type betting if I parlays and stuff like that. Because Texas, you're like, yeah, no, you can't do that. So like DraftKings now has DraftKings Sportsbook where they do the parlays and stuff like that. And I can't do that either, but I can play daily fantasy all day long.
Right. Yeah. That's the case in most states, I think, with DraftKings and their sportsbook. But hey, in Texas, guns and DraftKings, no FanDuel.
Yeah, ridiculous.
All right, let's get back to this 5 out of 5 for 15 extra buy-in. So we're on to Cam Atkinson.
You almost had it. Yeah, Cam Atkinson. This is a kid I love, man. Cam, I've came into the league a couple years ago, and I remember his rookie season he was on because that was back when I was playing season-long fantasy for NHL consistently. And when he came in, he was on my radar just because of how much speed the kid had. And I was like, he's going to make noise in Columbus. Took him as a flyer. Ended up being a great depth play for me that season. Didn't win the championship, but he was a big part of the run I had. But unfortunately, so we're unsure on Cam coming in tonight. He was out. He injured himself in that super overtime game, which most players do when they play 19 periods of hockey. But if he were to come back, I'm trying to pull up my lines real quick. if he comes back tonight, he should slot in on that top line with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Alexander Texier. You have no idea who those guys are, Levy. That's
No.
totally okay.
Nope.
Some of the people in the comments might. But that's a solid line. There's a lot of speed on that line, and Dubois sees the ice very, very well. He's one of my favorite centers to watch because he can set up some of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen. And with Cam's speed, he can open up that ice. So Cam would be on that power play unit if he comes back. The problem is I'm not sure if he would get there because you got to think he's got to get, if you take points consistently out of it, he's got to get 6 either combos of shots and blocks to get.
I'd rather lean less, man. I mean, I was just reading about him. He didn't even play on Thursday in game 2.
Yeah, no,
right?
and I agree with you. That's what I was trying to get at was he's a pivotal part for the Jackets, and he can go off. He can go absolutely ham. But the problem is he hasn't played, like you said, he was out that last game. But if he does have one of those games, it's usually, one game he'll go ham and then he's quiet for the next 3. So he's one of those players that I love him to death, but here I'm going to smash the less on him.
Okay. And what do you got here to round us off on Mr. Zach Werenski?
Werenski, yeah, I love him. This kid last year took a slap shot square in the face. I want to put this out there. He took a slap shot square in the face, broke his jaw in the first period, goes to the locker room, tells the coach, I'm good, puts a cage on his helmet, takes a couple of painkillers, and played the rest of the game into overtime.
Unreal.
The kid is nuts. He's a superhuman. Yeah, he can put up some points offensively. He's another guy like Seth Jones. He doesn't have the wheels, but he's got a booming shot up there. He can set up some pretty plays. I believe he plays on the second unit. Yeah, because they moved Seth Jones to that top unit because he has more speed. But he plays on that second power play unit, but they kind of look for him as a quarterback. So I can see him getting a couple apples. He also plays the top line minutes with Seth Jones. That's another thing to think about with some of these players is if they're playing top line, they have more time for opportunity out there. So yeah, he's a Michigan guy. So yeah. Eric, I agree. We're gonna smash them more on Zach there, and we're gonna call it a day on this 15 times.
All right. So pure Michigan. Let's go Werenski. 5 to win 75. I love a good long.
Hey, I've hit 2 or 3 of those, man. And it's nice when you hit those.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. All right, so do you got any more lightning plays, or you want to move on to the next game?
If my window wants to cooperate, I wanted to kind of look at so another fun one that I like to do is like the ones with the actual stats. So if you click the all there in the middle, kind of like we did on that first one with Kuch taking the over on the assist and the Seth Jones taking the shots and blocks.
This?
If I can find, where did it go?
Are you talking just in the Bolts game, or are you talking?
There was one earlier, but I think they pulled it because it was a pretty smash play. But I think they pulled it, and it looks like they did. So we can X-May on that, and we can move on to the game that I'm excited about: Vegas and Chicago.
All right, let's do it. What do you got your eye on?
So here's the thing about Vegas. They're really, really good at hockey. They probably have one of the best top lines in the league. And I know I've said that about like 3 different teams so far, but this, I mean, they're a expansion draft team that made the right moves their second season in, and they just brought in so much talent. So they usually roll Stastny with Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty, who unfortunately it doesn't look like Pacioretty's going to play tonight. With him and Cam Atkinson both. If you're playing on DraftKings tonight, guys, you gotta, or Yahoo or whatever, you've got to keep an eye on how things look at during warmups if they're out there on the ice to make sure they're slotting in. So that may make you change your stats or your stacks and whatnot. But you just got to keep an eye on certain things like that. But with this Vegas team, they have so much offensive firepower. I mean, they have some of the biggest depth in the league. I mean, Nick Roy, I'm looking at their lines right now. Nick Roy, Nick Cousins, and Alex Touche. that could be a second line on any team. Even their fourth line could be a third line grinding line that could get some points too with Ryan Reeves, Thomas Nosek, and Will Carey. Like they're just stacked, and they've got a guy on the blue line. Shout out to my Anaheim Ducks for trading this kid away to try to save Clayton Stone or not Clayton Stoner to try to save Josh Manson. Shay Theodore is dude, right now he is my Conn Smythe pick. This kid is nuts. He's so good. And that power play they have is insane. So looking here with Shay Theodore and Patrick Kane, Theo's gonna get there. He's easily gonna get there with his shots and blocks. I mean, I think one game he had like 5 shots on goal alone, and that's to go with his like 3 blocks. Like the kid from that blue line, he moves the puck, he knows where to put it, he puts it on net. He's insane. But Patrick Kane, so Patrick Kane is one of those players like that I was kind of alluding to earlier that it's kind of hard to pick out. So if we look at where Patrick Kane is playing today, because he changes around quite a bit, Chicago likes to shuffle those lines quite a bit. So right now he's slotted in with Kirby Dach and Drake Caligula. I don't know why they have Caligula so high rated. He was abysmal when he was playing in Edmonton. But then again, anyone who plays in Edmonton is abysmal if you're not Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. But Kane's matched up with Kirby Dach. Dach is pretty good. He's a young kid. They've got a good core with him and Dylan Strome coming up the middle here when Taves and Kane kind of leave. But I just don't. I want to say take the under on Kane. I really do here. But if Chicago's going to score, which they do,
right,
it's likely going to come with Patrick Kane being a part of that. So in this case, I want to lean the less, but I'm going to take the over, and he's going to get an apple here. If the only reason he won't get an apple is if Vegas completely shuts out Chicago tonight. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Right. All right. I'm only putting like a half a unit on that one. Because I agree. If the Blackhawks are going to score, now I know a little Blackhawks hockey because I lived in Chicago for several years. So Patrick Kane is probably one of the 15 guys I can actually name in the NHL.
Yeah, I'm
sure at this point, yeah, he's probably fallen off a little bit. He's getting older, right?
I mean, a little bit, but it's just because Chicago is not as stacked as they used to be. I mean, he was playing with guys like Patrick Sharp, Marian Hossa, who is still a goal scorer coming to the tail end of his career. Like that whole team, I mean, in 2015, when they ripped my heart out and stole the cup from us that year, that team was just built to win a cup. And that was the year they did it, and it had to be against us. And Kane really hasn't fallen off. It's just he doesn't have that much talent around him, so he can't explode like he used to.
Sure.
Him and Taves too, and Taves is kind of definitely, I wouldn't say he's tailed off, but Taves is definitely fallen more. He's got Jonathan Taves has a lot of offensive ability, but he's definitely fallen more into the shutdown center mode, where he's going to shut down your top line, and then hopefully the Chicago depth's going to take care of the rest. So not playing with Kane as much has hurt Kane there as well.
Yeah. All right. I hear you. What else you got for this game? You got some rapid fire?
Yeah. Pull that one up. That second one there you had there. Yeah. So, and they matched it up the way I thought they were going to do. Shay Theodore versus Patrick Kane. This is going to be ballsy, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm gonna lean Theodore here. I mean, like I said, the kid's insane. I wish Anaheim would have kept him, but they didn't, and now he's a stud with Vegas. He's gonna get there. Vegas just has so much firepower. It will be asinine if Shay Theodore is left off the score sheet tonight, whether it be a goal, assist. He's gonna get his shots and block, but he's also gonna get his points. So I'll take Shay Theodore definitely.
Love it.
And then here I'm gonna go Masha Schultz. I keep trying to peg Mark Stone, and every night I'm like, Mark Stone's gonna have a night. Mark Stone's gonna have a night. Mark Stone's gonna have a night. He's not gonna have a night. And Masha Schultz just shoots the puck consistently. And he plays on that second line, I believe. And he's the trigger on that line, so he pulls the trigger a lot. shoots the puck a lot. Riley Smith sees the ice well. So does Stastny. So I'll take Marshall Schultz there. But
All right, love it.
if you want to do this one right here, Keith, what's his 4.5? Keith is he can get there. I think he can get there. He puts the puck in on net enough. And he's always been an offensive gun for Chicago. He's tailing off a little bit, but I still think he can get there without a goal and or assist tonight. So I'll take that. And then Marshall Schultz as well. I'll take the over there. I was over on him on the last one. I'll take the over on him here. There's so much firepower with Vegas that it's insane. And the cool thing is about them playing against Chicago is Chicago lets up a crap ton of shots. Their defense is not very good. They leave Crawford out to dry so much. So it's very easy for Vegas to get some offense going here. So that's why I like a lot of these Vegas picks.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like in terms of scoring in general, the goal line's usually set pretty high for Vegas games, and I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like I see a lot of scoring when I'm seeing highlights of Vegas games.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why trailing back to the round robin series, that's why it was so fun when Chicago was playing Edmonton, because they're very similar in the fact of they shoot a lot and they also let in a lot of shots against them. So seeing Edmonton, who puts up almost 30 shots a game easy, playing against a team that lets up very easily upwards to 30 shots, seeing those games go so high on the shot count was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of seesaw hockey going back and forth. So shout out to that series.
For sure, man. All right, so I'm down now to my last $4 in my Monkey Knife Fight account, so no pressure here.
Well, let's be ballsy and scroll over to that 15 times, and we'll throw a twofer on it, and then we'll call it a day.
There we go. All right, so you gonna stick with your boy Theodore and
go
more?
Dude, yeah, easy. We'll take Theo over. Kane here, I'll take the less on his fantasy points. I took the less on his fantasy points last time, and it worked out. Now, granted, hear me out, world. There's very much a chance that Patrick Kane could have a Patrick Kane game and go off for 3 goals and 2 assists and win the game by himself. But I think it's very highly unlikely. I think this Vegas team is just too damn good in front of Robin Lehner or Marc-Andre Fleury, whoever they have in net. And I can easily see Kane being held off the score sheet.
All right. I like it. What are you thinking about Stone?
Stoner here. Stone's going to go. I'm going to take the less on Stone. I just don't. I don't think he'll get 1 or 2, but I just don't see him getting the 7 points now, unless that top line just goes absolutely ham. But I think not having Pacioretty is going to hurt. So I'm going to take the under on Stone. Same thing with Marshall Schultz. Like I said earlier, take the over on him. He's going to smash. And Wild Bill Carlson. So if he was a 6.5, I would take the less, but I can see him getting his 6 points to cover value on this. He plays between, he plays on that top line. He centers that. So he's playing between Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson, because since Pacioretty's not in, they have to load him up. But he's on that power play unit with Stastny and Stone and Theo and Marshall Schultz, and it's just that he will get his. Like I said, if it was any higher, I would say no to it, but he's gonna get his. So throw the twofer on that one, and we're good to go.
All right, I love it. All right, so I got $2 left. I can't just leave it hanging in there. So we're gonna do a combo here of both games.
Okay.
And then we'll just briefly talk about Sunday games without getting into DFS, just to give your projections.
Cool.
So I'm gonna stick with your boy Theodore here. I'm gonna go more. I'm gonna go more on Kucherov. Kane, we're gonna go less. What did we say in Stone? More or less?
Stone, we took less. But here's the thing. Do you want to do what a smart gambler would do? And since he's one of our players that we're kind of on, do you want to hedge?
I'm fine. So you want to go more on Stone and then less on Theodore?
No, what I'm saying, well, I mean, you can do it that. I think Theo's going to crush regardless. It's Stone I would hedge on. I told you the other day, I hedge on some of these sometimes when there's a player that I'm really just kind of stuck on. Like, it's going to go either way. So we can hedge here, but I mean, I'm not playing with your wife's credit card. I'm just kidding. I'm not playing with your money, so you can, if you want to stick with the less there, we can, or we can go hedge there.
Let's go
But
ahead and go more.
all right, let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, so that will do it for our DFS picks for Saturday here. So get them in quick. If you've never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, don't forget to use code FOCUSED when you deposit. It's a different type of DFS. I enjoy it because you're not playing against a bunch of sharks. You're playing against the house essentially. It's basically player props. It's either fantasy points or a combination of assists, shots, blocks, things of that nature. So more or less, rather than that's how they get away with it. Instead of saying
Over under.
It's more or less,
just a terminology change. That's all it takes
it's
sometimes.
crazy, but who cares? It'll all be legal someday anyway. But just to touch on Sunday's games real quick to wrap us up here. So living on the West Coast, man, is awesome. We got hockey at 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow.
Gotta love it, man.
Just
Wake
crazy.
up with a cup of coffee and watch some hockey.
Right. That's like football season starts at 10, man. I love it. So we got Caps Islanders series, Islanders up 2-0. Thoughts on this one?
So this is a fun series because this takes a Barry Trotz led Islanders group. And no, I'm sorry. He's with he's with the Islanders. He used to be with the Caps. They won the cup, and then he went to the Islanders right after that, which was the weirdest thing ever. I've never seen a team win a cup and then get rid of their coach. That was nuts. But the Islanders play a super, super good defensive hockey. And I think they've done a really good job so far of this series of shutting down the top line for Washington, which is where a lot of their firepower is going to come from with Ovechkin and Backstrom. So I think they've done a really good job so far. I have Washington coming out of this series because I think Washington's I think Washington's going to come out of the series. I think it'll come down to if they go in a 3-0 hole, then chalk it up. My bracket's done. But I just think this Washington team is just, they've got too many players who have been here before. And I think they'll get it together. The Islanders are a really young team. They've got a lot of young bodies on there, and I think that may come into play, and they may try to sit back and coast this thing out towards the end of the series. And I think that's where Washington's going to come and take it.
Wow. I'm shocked, man, that you're going with the contrary play there.
Well, I mean, the Islanders are the 6th seed. Washington's the 3 seed. But
but I'm just playing devil's advocate here by basing this purely on the fact that they're down 2-0 already.
I mean, the Flyers came back against Boston years ago, 3-0 down. I mean, it's not impossible anymore. Teams can do it. I think if Washington can get back into it and go 2-1, I think they'll make it a series. It'll be a long one, but I think it'll happen. I got them in 6, so we'll see what happens.
All right, fair enough. Love it, man. All right, then 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern. We got Stars at Flames. The Flames actually leading the series 2-1.
Yep.
What do you think about this one?
So this is a fun series to watch because I get to watch all my bandwagon hockey fans here in Texas be like, "Yeah, Dallas is in the playoffs. I'm a huge hockey fan," but they don't know anything about hockey, and I get to tell them like, "Hey, this is what's going to happen." They're like, "No, this is our year," and then it happens, and I'm like, "I told you." So with Dallas, their top line with Seguin and Bin, they've got to show up because Calgary has a lot of depth, and this is one of those times of saying, Calgary's a 6th seed and Dallas is a 3 seed, but I think this is skewed because I think Calgary's the better team. Their goaltending is worse, but they play really well in front of their subpar goaltending, and I think their depth is going to get them far. And if Dallas cannot get that top line to produce, I think the depth of Calgary alone can carry Calgary past the series.
All right. I dig it, man. Any additional thoughts on that series?
Got him in 6.
Okay, got him in 6. All right, so then we go back. We got the Knights and Hawks, the back-to-back game. Any additional thoughts on strategy on that?
Play all the dudes from Vegas. That's your strat. That's if you're playing DFS tomorrow, stack up on that top line. But I think if Vegas wins tonight and they're in Chicago's in a 3-0 hole, it'll be interesting. But it being a back to back, I really think if they go 3-0 down tonight, I think Vegas will end the series tomorrow on a sweep. I've got them in 5 because I think Chicago sneaks one out somewhere, but I still ultimately think Vegas just dominates the series. And I think we'll see a glimpse of the Chicago of old that was just a really good playoff hockey team, and they'll win one game. But like I said, Vegas in 5.
All right, I dig it, man. So what happens for a hockey fan? Is it kind of like football where tomorrow you're literally going to sit on the couch all day because there's 5 games? Like they're all just back to back to back to back.
For me, yes. For some, no. So like I've told you, I'm off on the weekends, thankfully, because I've got so much other stuff that I do. And so on days where I don't have that stuff to do, I can do that. And here in Texas, some of the bars are open because they've turned into restaurants. But I don't want to pack the buildings with people. And so usually what I would do is go to my favorite local drinking establishment and order their finest bottle of Topo Chico and sit at the bar and sit with my sober self and just watch hockey all day. And but I can't do that, so now I get to do it at home at my computer desk. So
There you go.
that's what I do. I mean, Sundays are hard for me during the NFL season because it's like I want to watch all the football games, but I also want to watch all the hockey games.
Right.
Like it's tough.
Now you just get to crush DFS instead. So
Exactly.
Sunday night, 8:00 Eastern time, we've got Flyers Canadians, and it looks like we've got a tied series 1-1 here. What do you got?
And that was a shocker. So I've got the Fly Guys coming out in 5. Shout out to my boys Tom, Bill, and Plunkett in Philly. Biggest Fire fans I know. But they got me into the fandom. But the thing about Philly this year is they're even before this coronavirus stuff started, they were playing some of the best hockey out of any of the teams. And I mean, they were playing well offensively, they were playing well defensively. They were getting great goaltending from Carter Hart. And the question mark was, are they still going to get that coming, having this long break coming into this round robin series and stuff? And they still are. So this outlier game, and I'm going to call it an outlier game because Montreal has never been a team to explode like that. Usually they'll eke by with Carey Price making 40 saves a game. But they dismantled the Flyers, and it was abysmal to watch. Granted, it was a back-to-back, so I'm going to chalk it up to that. I believe it was a back-to-back, if I remember right. I was at work that day. But I think the Flyers take this. They're just playing too good. 5 games is what I got them in. You can't ride hot goaltending. You can ride hot goaltending, but you can't ride it forever. So I think the Flyers are just playing that good of hockey to just oust the goaltending. So.
All right. And to wrap it up, the nightcap here, we've got Blues, Canucks, somewhat of a surprise here. Vancouver up 2-0, right?
Yeah. And this is one of those moments where you think a team like St. Louis, the defending Stanley Cup champions, who really just kind of lost like a few role players. I mean, they didn't really lose that much firepower. They still had the same offensive guns up top with Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron, and Vladimir Tarasenko. But Vancouver's got a lot of firepower. They're young. They've got a lot of quick legs there with Brock Bosser and Elias Pettersson. And my boy, shout out Bo Horvat. I can never figure this guy out on any DFS slate. Doesn't matter if it's DraftKings, Yahoo, Monkey Knife Fight. I'll say he's going to do one thing, and then he'll just do the complete opposite.
we got someone who wants to make a bet with you, by the way. Your boy Jake wants to make a bet on Flyers Habs series.
All right, yeah, Jake, I'm in. You've got the Habs coming out. No, I'll take the Fly Guys all day, son.
Gritty's watching you. What's
Tommy?
up,
That's my boy.
Love it. And Binnington or Jake Allen, game 3.
Oh man. I'd have to check. Is that a back-to-back? I would probably lean. I would lean Bennington, man. He won you a cup last year. You've got to roll. You've got to ride the horse that got you there. I mean, that's a general rule of thumb. I've never been a big fan of changing your goalie in the playoffs. So it's different when it's a back-to-back because you kind of have to give your guy a rest.
Yeah.
But I really would prefer to see Bennington in that net because I think Bennington I think the guys rally around Bennington better than they do Jake Allen. Jake Allen kind of has to stand on his head to win a game.
Love it. All right. So what was your final prediction on the Blues Canucks series?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. So I'm getting that one completely wrong so far. So I had St. Louis winning that. But Vancouver is just ousting my prediction. I had it in 5 and they're now up 2-0. So that is wrong. But yeah, and this is another series. I mean, you see it a lot with 4 or 5 seeds. Where if one team loses, it's not really a surprise. Because they're supposed to be the most evenly matched matchup.
Sure.
But yeah, Vancouver is a young team, and give them maybe another year or two, and they'll be a top tier team if they play their cards right because they've got a good core with Pedersen and Boss here, like I was saying earlier. And they've got some young guns on that blue line that are pretty good. But if they play their cards right, they could become a top tier team here in the near future, giving Canada a hope for a Stanley Cup finally.
All right, I love it, man. Any last words of wisdom before we get into the Lightning game? We got about an hour or so till the game, so I'm excited. That's the one hockey team that I will watch, but
Yeah.
I will be watching. I'm gonna watch both games tonight because I've got my Monkey Knife Fight account cleaned out now.
Yeah.
All on your
Don't
shoulders, buddy.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say if you lose all those, don't fire me. That'd be cool. I'd like
It's
this job.
It's okay. I still got my I already pre-trade for all the races for tomorrow for NASCAR or all
Oh,
my
well, there you
content
go.
for tomorrow.
See, so it's not all on my shoulders.
No, I'll win them back tomorrow.
Yeah, words of wisdom. If you're playing DFS tomorrow, play all the dudes from Vegas. I'm gonna hound that. Play all the dudes from Vegas. That team is just one of the best teams in the playoffs, along with the Flyers. That offense is insane. So just load up on those guys. Be smart when you're stacking. Don't spend too much on a full line stack. I like to spread my wealth, if you will. So I like to maybe go a mini stack and then get a defenseman in there from that power play unit, and then kind of go off the wall on some under the radar mini stacks as well. So just be careful with your stacks. That's my word of wisdom there.
There you go. Manage your bankroll effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm the worst about managing my bankroll. I'm the worst. I'm an absolute donkey when it comes to that.
Oh man, I just stay consistent. I just throw like the $5 or $10 bets out there. It's not even bets; it's fantasy. So
yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah, but they say what's the rule of thumb? Like 10% of your bankroll is what you should play every night.
Yeah, I think so. But and then when I win on Saturday, on Sunday, I'm playing $20 rounds. So
yeah. I mean, like once you get to that point where you know it, you're just like, I'm just gonna put all the money in the world on it. I know this,
right?
And then you lose, and you're like, well, maybe I don't know this.
There you go. All right. Well, it's been fun. This has been episode 1. We'll be coming at you guys with some hockey content on a regular basis throughout the playoffs here. So hope you guys are enjoying it. If you've never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, make sure you are using the code FOCUSED when you deposit for the first time. 100% match bonus. Can't find that anywhere. $50. You'll be playing with 100. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Focused with an extra D, on Instagram at Fantasy Focused as well. And Tyler, what's your handle on Twitter?
So my Twitter handle is my last name. So it's Tennell Owns. That's TENNELL, the little underscore symbol, and then the word owns. I don't know. I made that back in high school and it's just stuck. I don't know. It works. But yeah, then you can also find me on Instagram where I post some of my picks at the Frostback. That's all one word.
Love it, man. Let's make some money tonight. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. And if it's the first time coming across our channel, make sure you're subscribing, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take it easy, guys.